Welcome to Habeas Treasures, where I try to decipher this book, There's Treasure Inside by Jon Collins-Black, in order to find one of the 5 hidden treasures. On today's episode, I'll continue my breakdown of The Past and Future Box and discuss why I think the title of the chapter could be a clue telling us where to begin. Let's begin. The other day, while Megan, Jaws, and I were live streaming X Marks the Pod, we received a comment from a viewer who suggested that maybe the title of the hunt, Past and Future, could be a clue telling us that the treasure is hidden along a time zone line. Now, this instantly made a lot of sense to me for a couple of reasons. First, it would explain why JCB chose to name the box Past and Future, because a time zone line straddles both the past on one side and the future on the other side. This would be a perfect clue, in my opinion, to narrow down the starting point of the hunt. Second is JCB hasn't indicated that anyone has been close to finding the Past and Future box so far. Unlike the Pokemon and Appalachian Footpath boxes, where he has said in multiple interviews that searchers have been within a few hundred feet of finding both boxes. This could indicate that the popular locations where thousands of searchers have been looking for the Past and Future box, like Lake Tahoe, are incorrect. So let's explore this idea for a minute that the Past and Future box might be hidden along a time zone line. Turns out there are 3 time zone lines in the continental US, dividing the US into 4 time zones. The time zones are the Eastern Time Zone, the Central Time Zone, Mountain Time Zone, and the Pacific Time Zone. Now, as I started studying the different time zone dividing lines, a couple of things caught my eye. The first is that they are not straight lines. They often cut through states or follow the outline of states for various geographic, political, and economic reasons. And the second thing is they're all known by their abbreviations: ET, CT, MT, MPT. All right, so based on this information, I know what you must be thinking. Yo, HT, which time zone line do you think is the clue that points to the start of the hunt? Great question. I think the answer may lie in the opening paragraph of the chapter. After all, it would make sense for JCB to use the title of the chapter, the Past and Future box, to indicate a time zone line, and then leave clues in the beginning sentences of the chapter to tell us which one to use for the hunt. So let's read that part of the story now. One morning, I was talking on the phone to Seth Gould as I looked out at the inviting sunny day through the window of my home office. Okay, let's stop there. I actually think the clues we were looking for may be in this very first line of the story, and here's what I mean. Remember the abbreviations for the different time zones I mentioned earlier? Well, when I tried to imagine what clue JCB could create out of the abbreviated time zones that would fit with the theme of the chapter, I thought of E.T., the 1982 Steven Spielberg movie classic. This would be the perfect movie to connect to Ready Player One, which is all about 1980s pop culture nostalgia. After all, E.T. was the highest grossing movie of the 1980s, and Steven Spielberg is the same director who also brought the Ready Player One movie to life in 2018. This could be one of the reasons why JCB devotes a significant portion of the Past and Future box chapter to a discussion about Ready Player One. But what really got me excited is the opening line of the chapter. Remember how in the movie E.T. the plot hinged around the famous line, E.T. phone home? Here, let's watch that now.
Phone. Phone? He said phone? He said phone? Can't you understand English? He said phone. Home? You're right. That's E.T.'s home. E.T. home phone.
Well, JCB could have started this chapter in any way, but he chose to begin by talking about a phone conversation from his home office. Very E.T.-like. Coincidence? Maybe. But he also talks about looking out the window in the morning on a sunny day. He could be using these lines to remind us that the sun rises in the morning in the east, so the time zone we should be paying attention to again is the Eastern time zone. Now, switching gears for a moment, I know a lot of people have speculated that the design on the commemorative coin for the chapter could be the shape of the border between two states like California and Nevada. Now, this was my original thought too, and why I really liked Lake Tahoe as a potential hiding spot for the Past and Future box. However, at this point of the hunt, with so many searchers looking in that area and coming up empty, I think it's also possible that the design on the commemorative coin could be time-related, like the hands on a clock face. If we take this approach, then the angle of the hands on the clock might provide a time zone clue as well. For instance, time worldwide is standardized around what used to be called Greenwich Mean Time. The Eastern time zone is 4 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time. I learned that time zone maps often show this difference by representing the 4 hours on a clock like this. If JCB wanted to use the coin to represent the clock face that indicates the Eastern time zone compared to Greenwich Mean Time, he would create an angle of 120 degrees on the coin, representing the 4-hour time difference. According to a group of searchers on Discord, however, who apparently have purchased protractors, the actual angle shown on the coin is more like 134 degrees, so not an exact match, leading me to think that this probably isn't what the coin is supposed to indicate. Now, I know what many of you are probably thinking at this point. Yo, HT, hold up a second. Depending on daylight savings time, isn't the Eastern time zone sometimes 5 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time? Oh, snap, you were right. 5 hours behind, like during daylight savings time, would be an angle of 150 degrees on the clock face. So if we average the 120 degrees without daylight savings time with the 150 degrees with daylight savings time, then we get 135 degrees, which is very similar to the 134 degrees the Discord detectives who can afford protractors calculated in the chat. Very interesting. Anyway, who knows what the coin design could mean? I guess only time will tell. Well, anyway, that's all I've got for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and that it helps you with your hunt.